The second pick will be made by the Washington Wizards, and that means that the number one pick in the 2024 NBA Draft goes to the Atlanta Hawks.
The Atlanta Hawks just won the 2024 NBA Draft Lottery, which means they have the number one pick in the upcoming draft. Draft is about 40 days away, so without further ado, we have the 2024 NBA Mock Draft 3.0 for this year. This is the first mock draft that I'm doing with the official lottery solidified. Now, the top five as one in the lottery. The Hawks won the lottery with the number one overall pick, followed by the Washington Wizards. Following them, the Houston Rockets, and 4 and 5 are the San Antonio Spurs, who won the draft last year and won the right to draft Victor Wembanyama. And pick 5 is the Detroit Pistons. Now, for mock draft 3.0, we're only going to touch on the top 5 picks because it's very intriguing with this draft because there's no solidified number one pick, or so they say, but the consensus around the NBA that's building is that Alex Sarr will be the number one overall pick. You know, he's French just like Victor Wembanyama, 7+ footer. They got him listed at 7'1" right now. They got him also listed as a power forward, which they did Vic. But I think the thing that's separating him and Vic is Vic was 7'4", 7'5". Alex Sarr's 7'1". And he possesses a lot of similar talents as Vic. I think he might not be as good defensively as Vic, but I think offensively he might be just as good, if not better. And, you know, a funny thing is for me that, you know, they say these 7-foot guys are really good shooters and stuff like that coming out, but I look at their three-point percentage and it's like 28, 29%. But, you know, tape shows otherwise, you know, in the highlights and whatnot. But Alex Sarr did have a good showing against G League Ignite, though, at the beginning of the year. So I would say that. But, you know, we're talking about Alex Sarr a lot. That means he's obviously going to be the number one pick in this draft. And the Atlanta Hawks are going to take Alex Sarr. Now, I have a video coming out soon, very soon, about the Atlanta Hawks and what they should do with the number one overall pick, or what they should do with their team building philosophy coming up for the upcoming year. But stay tuned for that, Hawks fans and NBA fans who just love basketball. But yeah, Alex Sarr, the French forward, big man, 7'1" Alex Sarr, he's going to Atlanta in my mock draft. Picking number 2, the Washington Wizards. Now I have Washington taking Donovan Cleveland, the back-to-back champion, 7'2" shot blocking center. Offensive game, you know, needs some work. Obviously, stretching out to the perimeter needs work, but finishing on the rim, he's a lob threat. Like I said, elite shot blocker, and that's the really big thing right here. While I'm taking him number 2 at Washington. Washington was the third worst defense in the NBA, and what's the best kind of defense? Team defense, rim protection, rebounding. That's part of defense. And Donovan Cleveland, he's going to provide all those things in a Washington setting. With a guy like Kyle Kuzma, with a guy like Jordan Poole. There was a couple of other guys I was considering for this position as I was for, you know, the other top 5 picks. But I think Cleveland is the best fit right here. And I think he sets a tone for Washington. And as an anchor, I love this fit. Playing next to a guy in Jordan Poole who's a point guard who doesn't really defend, I think having a guy like, you know, Cleveland is a great foundational piece. Now with the number 3 pick, Houston's in a tricky situation because they were like where the Magic were last year. You know, last team to get eliminated from the playoff contention. They have a young star. Do they? Yeah. Şengün, I guess. You know. They have Şengün. Jalen Green played well last year towards the end of the season. Jabari Smith Jr. is a good defender and a pretty solid three-point shooter. They spent big money on Dylan Brooks as well as Fred VanVleet. So what do they really need? They drafted a Ben Thompson last year. They drafted a point guard. So I'm going to have them taking ESPN's number 1 ranked player, Zachary Richardson, the French forward, 6'10". Haven't really watched this game too much. You know, this is really initial mock draft after the lottery. You know, I did 2 previous ones, but those are like really early season. But Richardson, ESPN has him as the number 1 prospect, according to, I believe, Jonathan Weiserman. So we have to see. But I'm going to have them taking Zachary Richardson. Right now they have Dylan Brooks as the 3. But, you know, drafting this high, you got to take some guys off potential. Jason Tate right now, but I think he's on an expiring deal. So I think Zachary, he's going to be able to find his way on the court. Pick 4 was a very interesting pick to me because the San Antonio Spurs, they have 2 lottery picks, pick 4, pick 8, as well as 2 second-round picks, and they drafted Victor Wembanyama last year. I think they're going to go point guard. but I don't know if they want to go veteran point guard in free agency or, in the draft. And I think there's 2 point guards that they would be vying for if available. I think Nikola Topic, who was available for me in my mock draft, and Rob Dillingham. I'm a big Rob guy. I think Rob's going to be a really good player. I think people put a ceiling on him because he's 6'1" without shoes, but I think he's about 6'2", 6'3" with 6'2", 6'3" with shoes. And he's just a bucket. He's a microwave. And I think people are putting that microwave label on him as a negative connotation because you got guys like Lou Will, Jamal Crawford, Emmanuel Quickly, 6 men like that. But I think Rob Dillingham could be much more in the league than just a microwave guy. I think he has superstar potential written all over him. And if I'm the Spurs, I think I would take him. But I think the Spurs are going to take Nikola Topic, the 6'7" point guard from Serbia. Topic, like I said, 6'7". Now, you can't pass up a 6'7" point guard. That's rare. It's not rare because nowadays it's like there's one every draft. But I think Topic is the guy that San Antonio wants. I don't think Rob Dillingham would be a Spurs guy. But if I'm the Spurs, I'd take Rob Dillingham because Rob and Wemby, that's first of all, it's going to put butts in the seats. That's one. And then they can both play on the offensive side of the ball. That'd be a nasty offensive duo, especially if Rob can develop his playmaking ability. Oh, my goodness. That'd be special. I don't know. I would take Rob, but Nikola Topic from Serbia, I think he's the Spurs guy, and he's the Spurs pick. Now, pick 5, last pick of the mock draft that I'm doing for 3.0, the Detroit Pistons. Let me talk about the Detroit Pistons real quick. The Detroit Pistons continue to get screwed in the lottery. They've had the worst odds for a while, and it seems like they always get the 5th pick. Last year, they won 17 games. This year, they won 14 games. They won a combined 31 games, and they got picked 5th both times. But they need space around Cade Cunningham. And I think the best shooter in the draft, without a doubt, is Reed Shepard. 6'3" shooting guard, defends, playmakes, could play a secondary playmaking role next to Cade Cunningham. I think he's an instant starter. Possibly over Jaden Ivey, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if he's an instant starter, but he's going to get instant minutes. Reed Shepard's the pick right here for me, and I think it's a no-brainer. There was other guys in the contention for this pick, but Reed makes the most sense for me. I don't think Rob Dillingham's going to go because obviously they have Ivy. They have Cade Cunningham, and I think he needs the ball in his hands a little bit more than Reed Shepard does. Reed Shepard, he really doesn't need the ball in his hands to be effective. He shot, at one point he was shooting 50% from 3 for Kentucky this year. Reed Shepard, he's a top 5 pick in my opinion, and he's going to go to Detroit in my mock draft. But that's going to conclude for me. I'm Trimmy. Thank you guys all for watching, and I'm out.